It's a brand new year, and while we plan for this new chapter, we take a look at a medium that has swept Africa by storm. Podcasts. Some of the past year's most viral moments emanate from podcasters and their guests covering a range of topics from sports, politics, economics, pop culture, life, gossip, and so much more. The Bubbling Explosion is a documentary that takes a look at the South African podcasting landscape with different creators and innovators. Tonight, we're joined by executive producer Regisford and parenting podcaster Lebang Kgosana as we delve into this growing trend to find out more the making of the documentary and hopefully inspiring others to join this growing community of content creators. Good evening, guys, and welcome to Trendz Live.
Thank you for having us.
I love it. Happy New Year, first of all.
Happy New Year to you too, darling.
I'm so excited to have you guys as like my guests for like the first show of 2025. But Nick, I have to start with you. How big is like the podcast moment right now in South Africa?
Blessings for 2025, keeping
Thank
it live.
you.
What a beautiful intro.
I try, I try.
I can't say that it's this size. It's a bubbling explosion. It's growing. Let's say before COVID, it's much bigger than it was then. And I think that if you do your own research, speak to 10 people and ask them, do you listen to podcasts? 9 out of 10 are going to say yeah.
Yeah, which then brings me to my next question about the Bubbling Explosion, this documentary that you've worked on. Can you just tell us, how this project started? Like, walk our guests through what it is and that you're trying to cover with this documentary.
I was given the beautiful opportunity earlier this year in June to hold a 2-day event, the SA Podcast and Music Festival. At that event, we got sponsored by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture.
Wow.
We have some money available. How best can you put that money to use? Make a corporate video from the event or make something that contributes positively to the industry?
Oh.
I chose the latter. And we worked on it from the event because that was the inspiration.
I see.
We got together with podcasters, people from the industry, non-believers, haters, skeptics.
I love that, showing the both sides, like the negatives and positives and people's different views.
We've got a lot of work to do. Not everyone's convinced.
Yeah.
I believe this is a media threat, and anybody who takes life seriously can consider a podcast as part of their brand strategy.
Sure.
You're not going to go everywhere and get love by saying, here's my podcast. Like, so what? Well, I don't care. But there's an audience that is interested in braids. There's an audience that's interested in parenting.
Yeah.
There's an audience that's interested in politics. Elections are coming up. Every business, whether you're selling books, makeup, perfume, lifestyle, there's a space in your strategy for a podcast.
You just need to figure out what is that niche for you.
And if you care about it, we care about it, we're passionate about it because we come from radio.
I see.
Radio has evolved into podcasting. And I know that some of your questions would be around, where does this podcasting rush come from? Listen, everybody in podcasting has been in radio at some point.
At some
the
point.
pioneers, Gareth Cliff, Paulo Diaz, the SA Podcasters Guild, they're all coming from radio. Spike Ballantyne, all hardcore radio audio people.
I see. And I actually want to delve into that a little bit later, but Lebang, I have to say hello.
Hello, darling.
But,
Stop it, I like it.
I mean, you wear many different hats and you've been in media for a very long time.
Yes, my
but
darling.
talk us through your journey into podcasting.
Sure. So to Nick's point, everybody started in radio. If you are in podcasting, radio is the thing that invited you into such a beautiful space. Why? Because we love storytelling.
Yeah.
We are storytellers. And every brand has a story to tell. So I guess we're in a stage of how do we go from telling the story, but also telling the story for your brand,
Uniquely to you.
monetizing, really creating memory. So from a personal perspective, media is just everything that I've known. Television, entertainment, it's a calling. I can't even run away from it. I've tried and it just hasn't happened.
Because it loves you back as well, so it's fine.
Like, it's like kind of give relationship.
Yeah.
So when you know what your purpose is, you find yourself, and I've found a place in podcasting. I found a place in the Life with Lebang podcast where I can tell stories. I can speak with other parents who are also struggling. Like, what are you doing with this parenting thing? Where's the manual? There is no manual. There's only how you can do it. So I pride myself in doing my podcast, connecting with other parents who are also on a similar journey and really just sharing experiences because you're not alone. It is a community.
It is a community.
Babes, it's a community.
But
And as you know,
it
takes a village. So
really
now it's just an audio village. Where are we connecting? We're connecting on the podcast, on the platform. That's where we're sharing our
and
stories.
making it so much more accessible. Because
Exactly.
I did want us to talk about the fact that your podcast does focus on parenting, but
Yes.
why is it so important for you to have these real and honest conversations?
Babes, we live in a time where nobody's willing to have these real and honest conversations anymore. We want to run away. We want to just talk about the fluff, the fun stuff. But we have to be real. We have to communicate about the real things that are happening in our lives. Also, so we can be testimonies for each other and give each other solutions. I can't depend on somebody who's living in America to give me the answers to my African problem.
Oh, I love
I cannot.
that.
But I've got a neighbor. I've got a koko, umkhulu khona. We have family globally and also online. Someone in Zimbabwe, someone in Zambia knows what I'm going through, but I don't know that they've got the answers that I need yet until I listen to the podcast. And that's where I get the answers, babes. So that's just kind of my outlook on it is, let's do life together.
Let's do life together.
Let's do life
I'm
together.
also clapping my hands with Nick right now. But earlier on, we're speaking about the fact that, like, there is that comparison between radio and podcasting. Do you guys think that comparison is real and something that will ever die down?
Ladies first.
Oh yeah, no, look, it's an everyday thing. And I've got the joy of working in both spaces. So I do host a drive show on radio on 919 FM, and I host my podcast Life with Lebang. So I'm just, babes, I'm in a bit of everything. But most importantly, when you're touching lives, it doesn't matter what platform it is. You are out there essentially making somebody's day better.
I see.
You're reaching an audience. For me, I will always say that radio right now is still the #1 medium. And that's because of how many Africans, I'm not just going to say South Africans, how many of us as Bato depend on stories and listen to
And are
stories.
tuning in.
And versus reading and writing and versus seeing.
I see.
We're listening all the time. So yes, radio is still #1, but podcasting has allowed us to almost find those little niches. Where, what do I want to listen to today? What do I want to connect with today? You can find it online. It's the new university, babes.
It's the new university.
It's the new university.
Listen, we are live, and there's obviously other things that I want us to delve into. So, Nick, I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
Are South African podcasts or African podcasts as, profitable as their US counterparts?
Well, in America, everybody's speaking English. So let's not compare because it's not apples for apples.
Okay.
Yeah, we're dealing with a different, unique set of mannerisms, cultures, access points. And, language is a major contributor to that. So let us not try and compare America with Africa.
I love what you just said.
Podcasting is an individual journey for the person. Decide first why you're going into it. If you're going into it for the money, and you're going to copy Mac G and interview celebrities, it won't work.
Yeah,
John Savage says it straight. It's not going to work. Find your niche. Lebang has found her niche that is parenting. People have to find their niche to be able to unlock the opportunity.
I see.
You get paid once you add value. So before you start going out saying, I'm going to get a nice set and cameras and just talk to famous people, have a better strategy.
Where are you trying to add value?
Stop trying to be like Joe Rogan and people in America.
Please.
You've asked for decades that you want the world to be able to hear and see you. So now we have a bona fide opportunity for Africa to rewrite its story. And podcasting is a method to do that.
I see.
Because you'll get hit up from all over the world about your unique conversations here
And
from
that's
Africa.
what you're contributing to the society. But I have to ask you about the Stocky. Where can people catch it? Where did it premiere? Because, that's why you guys are also here today.
At the moment, we've been successful in putting it out and getting an introduction to marketing it at the Arif Film Festival, which took place in December in Johannesburg. That was great.
Yeah.
We got to showcase the product there. We're working on developing other screening opportunities with the SA Podcasters Guild, and we're going to get together as the industry, put this thing out and have a meeting, because podcasters need to meet, not working in silos. So if you're in the podcasting industry, in January, we'll be having a get-together to watch the documentary.
Yeah.
And then we will develop it into 10 parts or 4 parts or 6 parts. And we're likely to play it on this channel, on this this platform.
Yeah, you'll find
and
it.
other
Well, I
places.
want to find it
Girl,
definitely.
you'll find
I
it.
feel like you need to invite me when everyone meets later on this month.
Yeah, let's invite you. Let's invite you. But it's an important project.
Yeah.
It's an important narrative. And one of the things that came back from the screening was they learned so much about perspectives, about how to approach the game. So it's like an educational docu-series in the making.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And as we wrap things up, because I know he said, like, don't always just do it for the money, but as somebody that's in it, how are you actually monetizing
the podcast?
This podcast, yeah.
So the beautiful thing, and I kind of want to take a step back. Before you start a podcast, ask yourself, why do I want to do this?
Yes.
What is the why? If you don't have a solid why, my advice is for you to not do it. Once you find your why, don't over-analyze and try and get the best equipment. If you've got a cell phone, start. When is the perfect time to start? Now.
Oh.
You may not have the best equipment. The content is what people are coming there for, right? So make sure that that's the only thing that you've got. And once you've got that, you can start going. Then you'll grow from there. Don't overanalyze the look and the
overanalyze
feel.
it, yeah.
So as far as monetizing a podcast goes, the important thing to remember is that you are in control of your podcast. If you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, all you need to do is find brands that can align with the content that you're making. So for example, I'll use Life with Lebang as an example. We talk about positive, intentional, and present parenting.
Yes.
Those are the pillars of the show. So the kind of brands that I would speak to are brands that are speaking to a similar audience. So nappies, baby food, that kind of thing. So always think about who are the people that can benefit from gaining access to my audience? Because now I've successfully built my audience. I've got my people. Who else wants to access my people? So don't also over-obsess about the monetizing. It
see.
will find you.
Okay.
If you are fire, you will be felt.
And on that note, we're going to close it off there because, like you said, if you are fire, you are felt. I'm super excited about the journey that the bubbling, explosion documentary is going to take. Thank you so much to the both of you for joining us. I could chat to you all day, but you know what? We gotta pay those bills. So Lebang and Nick, thank you for joining us on Trendz Live.
So much.
And by Trendy, I hope that you took something away from this conversation that can enable you to maybe do better and explore other avenues in 2025. For right now, though, we're taking a quick ad break and we'll be back right here on SABC News Channel 404. Let's go, Suta.